Labs for today. We will have Piyush and Mayank joining us very shortly. And as always, if this is your first clan lab, do let us know. Leave a message in events chat, or we'll be letting all of you come on so that we can all have a conversation. Just waiting on a couple of people to join in. But yes, we'll be talking a lot about what's happening in the world of games, game development, and the industry as a whole. If you want to get a kickstart on this, I would recommend reading our newsletter, which should have come to you yesterday, which includes a lot of information as to what's happening at the moment in the industry. We have a lot of acquisitions happening. We have a new engine being finally released. Unreal Engine 5 came out, and we'll talk about the upcoming events as well. So if anyone wants to get the conversation going, just raise a hand and I shall start adding you guys onto the stage so that we can all start discussing and talking. So give me a moment to this here. And there we go. Malhar is here. I shall move him up. Oh, I don't think I have the. I don't think I have. Malhar, could you please? Yeah, there we go, Piyush. I don't think I have the ability to pull people in.
What up?
Welcome.
Hi guys, hi everyone. What's up? There are a bunch of new faces here today, and I think that people from Launchpad have already joined in. So, Darren, what do you say? Let's start bringing people up on
Yeah.
the stage.
I was trying to do that.
Okay. Okay, so pulling in, guys, start raising your hands and we'll start pulling you up on the stage. I can see a bunch of hands there already.
Yeah, a lot of people are already excited to talk about what's happening. There we go.
Yep. So, Darren, what's up and what's new? What's happening in the app gaming space?
What's up? There's a lot of new things. I told the people that if they want to get a head start on what's new, they should read the newsletter that went out to them.
Oh yeah.
Right?
So
Plugging our own
yeah,
newsletter, which is pretty awesome, and you should definitely read.
we actually started this new newsletter called Outscale Khat like last week, and this week on uh, Friday, sorry, not Friday, or yesterday on Thursday, the second publishing of newsletter went out.
Of our
So
cut.
yep, or of Outscale Khat. So the second cut went out yesterday, and there are a bunch of new updates that are there. Like Unreal 5 just launched, and then there are like bunch of acquisitions that happened in the gaming industry, and the money is flooding in industry right now. I can see Shubham, and I'm inviting people to up on the stage. Hi, Mayank is here as well.
Hey guys, sorry
Hey
for being
Piyush.
late.
Hey, Mayank.
Hey, Mayank.
What's up? What are you talking about?
Money in the industry. A lot of money flowing in.
And Outscale Khat.
And the outscale cut,
Got it.
which
Yeah.
flowed into people's inboxes yesterday.
Got it. Yep. Go ahead, please. Just continue. I'll jump in.
Yeah, just like if you guys still move into the announcement channel, I'll tag that in the event chat, so you will see a simple post in there where you can subscribe to this newsletter, because we have sent this out to highly customized audience, and people who subscribed for it, so it's not going out for everyone. It's like opt-in, so if you want it, only then you get it. So yeah, we'll be like
It's opt-in only.
things
And
about the gaming industry.
Would you say it's highly exclusive? Well sought out?
Yep.
Bold.
That's a yes.
But yeah, cool. Like, what was the question regarding money stuff? Like money is flowing in, etc. Or what was the topic for that
Oh, just a
conversation?
lot of acquisitions happening just in general, like overall in the industry. Sony buying people, like companies, Microsoft
Yep.
buying, a lot of
Yep.
acquisitions
Microsoft
happening.
buying and even Netflix, Amazon, like majorly all of the Mang is going crazy and nuts in acquisition, acquiring companies left, right, center, gaming studios across India because across globe. I mean, last week again in Outscale Khat we shared that Netflix acquired another US based big gaming studio because everyone is going, pro gaming now.
Yeah, for sure. I think acquisition is just a way of bigger industry players catching up in terms of what they didn't anticipate, or
Mm.
didn't sort of this thing. Like, that's always been classically the case, right? Not now, but if you look back as well, uh, Netflix, there's always this kind of a dilemma called build versus buy, which
Oh,
bigger entities face, and it's very well known philosophy where the idea is that, is anybody familiar with it? Let's raise of hands.
Yes, sir.
Anybody familiar with this term called build versus buy?
like I've heard it once or twice, but yeah, the term clarifies it. Build versus buy. Like either you build or you maybe acquire companies.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea is very similar, right? And it's not just from company perspective. Like buying a company, it's more about just like broader build versus buy is always the question mark, right? So whenever you are at least in the context of tech companies, right? Gaming companies and tech companies, right? Whenever you're in the tech space, right, you always have this dilemma because tech definitely takes a long time to build, right? Building a tech product, getting users to adopt it, whether it's Uber, Airbnb, or something, right? Like, it's always a long journey, right? So for a bigger players, it's always a question: can we build it internally? If so, how much time it's going to take us? How much is it going to cost us? Um, and then if we can go out and buy something, there is always a magnitude of speed involved, right? You can move fast. So today, if I go and buy Zynga, right? Zynga got acquired recently, and they're going through that acquisition. So today, if I go and buy Zynga, I get immediately all their properties, all their existing games, all their access to all their customer base, existing customer base, and future base, right? So versus it might have taken 5 years, 10 years for a bigger studio who has the money as well to go and build that, right? So there's always those kind of trade-offs that you need to worry about. And that's why there's this classical question of build versus buy. You can apply it to pretty much anything, even when you talk about a feature or in a product, etc. You can always think about build versus buy because it's always at the end of the day trade-off between how much time it's going to take you to build it internally. If you build it, do you have the capacity to build it? Do you have the capability to build it? And so on and so forth. And versus just buy it from the market. So this is always like an ongoing debate in every company, no matter what the stage is. Just that the scale of build versus buy changes. So if you have $1 billion company, they'll not go buy a $5 million company, right? Their acquisitions will be worth hundreds of millions, and that scale goes up and down basically.
I guess, yeah, because a lot of people want, because they're catching up, the fastest way to do it is to acquire people with an existing user base and an existing audience
Exactly. Yeah.
rather than spend a lot of money. I think Amazon tried their own hand at building games and then they sort of went into developmental hell and just gave up and then have now started just trying to buy studios
They
to help
still have
them.
a game studio because a lot of my friends from US are actually working at Amazon Studios.
Yeah, they have
Uh,
they have multiple games under their own banner as well, but I
Correct.
think now they'll start probably picking up studios too fast
Yeah,
track.
yeah. Yeah. But I think Amazon is a slightly different beast altogether just because they're probably one of the few companies who have bought less and build more.
Yeah.
Versus if you see Microsoft, since
Mm.
Satya has taken
Disney.
Microsoft, Disney, like, major acquisitions, right?
Meta.
Yeah, Facebook as well. Major acquisitions. Facebook completely missed the mobile bucket, and sorry, the mobile adoption curve. They
Hmm.
completely were late to that party, and that's why they had to outright go ahead and buy
VR.
WhatsApp, outright go buy Oculus,
Instagram.
Instagram,
Yeah.
etc. Right? With like outrageous deals back in the day, right? WhatsApp were like 18 billion or something, and eventually when the deal closed, it was worth 21 billion.
Oof.
um, Instagram, when it had nothing, zero revenue, was bought for like a billion. So, there's always that build versus buy debate. If you are late to the party at certain thing and you want quick adoption, you cannot go the build route because it's going to take forever to build.
Yep. Also reminds me of Snapchat versus Facebook when there was the saying that they were trying to acquire Snapchat as well, and while Snapchat was it started going viral. Mark Zuckerberg actually flew to the place where founders were like staying and building Snapchat back then, and like uh, initially the founders assumed that they were the Zuckerberg was gonna you know um,
But
pitch them to buy them out, but he just came and challenged them off that we are launching some new features on Facebook which is gonna ruin your product.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, awesome. I think this is always a open debate, not just in the gaming industry, but of course, yeah, there's been a plethora of acquisitions recently in the gaming ecosystem. I think money, it's not just now that money is flowing in, it's that the money flowing in now is getting hyped. Money has always been there,
Yeah.
right? Gaming industry is like much, much bigger compared to a lot of other industries that we popularly know, right? Um, like your streaming, OTT services, music, etc.
Yeah.
Um, just that gaming was earlier limited because of the devices, right? So not everybody had a high-end PC to play a lot of games. With mobile, it has come more mainstream in consumer minds, but money was always there. It's not that it is new, right? It's just that the
Yep.
money was flowing in a different circle. Now a lot more people have their eyes on it just because a lot more people have started to play games which were not playing games before, right?
Yeah.
Your average Joe today who's like 40, 45 years old, works in an office, plays some kind of games or the other, whether it's Flappy Birds or Clash Royale or some Rummy app or something, right? Or cricket games, etc. Or if nothing else, Dream 11, right? At least. So there's a bunch of folks who are playing those kind of games. Um, yeah, it's just that now the perspective is different. Yep. I think
Nice.
generally folks can, if there's anything that you guys want to ask chat about, just feel free to either raise your hand, we'll bring you up on stage, or otherwise just drop in your comments in the event chat channel. I'll scan through those and keep picking up questions from there.
Yeah. I think the harkening back to this topic, I think once um, the internet got into play with games and DLCs started becoming more prominent, and then on to that after that microtransactions, I think that's when the money started really flowing in for game studios and people, the ones working in the business side of things realized that there's a lot of money to be made, which is why in the past, what I say, since the Xbox 360 PS3 generation, which is when multiplayer and internet play got more common, we saw a big rise in like DLCs, downloadable like add-on content, and
Hmm.
microtransactions and loot boxes and this and that, all ways of gamifying your own game even more, because they realized how much revenue could be made now. And then that model then moved on to mobile, and then people in the mobile platform figured out how to perfect that in their
Hmm.
own way, which was very interesting to see.
Yeah. But I think money was always there, right? So what has really changed, right? Like there were companies back in 90s were making shitload of money on games as well.
Yeah.
Just that the number of people playing games was less, right? So it
Yeah.
was more of a question of accessibility rather than money. Because if you have total of 100 companies globally who are making games, If it's $1 billion industry, that's still a big industry for just 10 companies to capture all that revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that the number of companies have increased, the overall industry size has increased, which means there's a lot more money globally to capture. And you could be sitting out of India building a game for Middle East, middle age women who like to play, a very specific kind of a casual game, right? So like you can build games for any demographic, right? But
Yeah.
what and earn money, whether it's through in-app purchases, DLC, all those are just different ways of making money through games, right? But I think one thing that majority people sort of fail to understand slash realize is that um, the kind of money that's coming in, that has changed,
Yeah.
right? Earlier, it was that okay, there's Microsoft who owns Xbox, there's Sony that who owns PlayStation. So now you have these two juggernauts who own hardware, and they have an umbrella of studios under them, right? And then you have the other spectrum of EAs versus Valve,
Yeah.
Ubisoft. These juggernauts who own just a bunch of licenses and IPs,
IPs.
and they're just churning out games after games on same IPs, and they're just making money through games. But what has happened in the last 2 to 3 years is that a lot of venture capital money has started flowing into this, right? Which was not the
Yeah.
case earlier, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing that's actually a bigger shift in terms of trends, that now businesses are getting built through VC money, whereas earlier it was all revenue, right? So you get a game out uh, mm, by hook or by crook, like basically on a very slim budget. And then you start to make money if the game starts to become popular, right? Or you're able to bring in the right adoption for the users for that particular game, right? So so that was the case earlier, but now it's like you can build outrageous games
Mm.
that need a lot of upfront capital investment through venture capital, such as VCs who invest, what you normally hear on TechCrunch and other news forums,
Mm-hmm.
right? Investing money into startups. That's what's different. And fundamentally, what has enabled that is a very underlying phenomena. I don't know if anybody knows, but if anybody knows, just drop it in the event chat. I'll come back to this in a minute if there's some thoughts around why is it that VCs have suddenly started putting money into games where it was not the case 5, 6 years before, or at least not majority. A lot, very few VCs were doing this. Not much of investments were going. The majority of it was just like, hey, build a game, get revenue going, and then grow from there, right? So a lot of the traditional game players didn't raise a lot of capital, uh, at least, right? So if anybody knows, just raise your hand slash event chat.
Yeah.
Sir, just a guess if I may. Go ahead.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, go
cool. Sir, so if you look at gaming in the perspective of just gaming, then you'll see just one industry. But if you look, it's transcendence to other industries. So that is one key factor wherein VC could see the potential. So that is one way they have put in money. Second, because Ronan said right, because generations effect, right? So he said India would be the next big hub for gaming. Reason, our generation is playing games because it is not a luxury anymore. We have phones, right? So next gen would play more. So from that standpoint, we have a lot of people coming in who have that need and can give that revenue stream to the VC, because VC just wants their money back in like 10 20 25 times, something like that, right? Apart from it, going ahead, I also believe keep gaming, if you look at meta is coming. So then we have these virtual worlds, really massive virtual worlds that are going in I just forgot the name of game that was popular in Thailand using the cryptos and all. So that is where I'm going in web 3, so majorly,
Axie
so I
Infinity.
feel that. Yes, sir,
Axie
so that
Infinity.
would be my answer.
Yeah, the game you're talking about is Axie Infinity, right?
Yes, sir, Axie Infinity, thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that would be my overall answer to this question, looking at different perspectives.
Got it. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm. But I think
So,
is this related to this or something else?
It's something else. We can circle back to this question as well. I did drop my in the chat. Okay. So the other question I had was, so there's been a lot of censorship in gaming and basically in media in general. If somebody wants to circumvent all of that, even at the expense of making their game or media non-profit, is that a possibility? Is that something that's achievable?
Okay. Let me come back to this one because I think it's a very different
Mhm.
topic slash thread altogether, right?
Okay.
So we can come back to this one. Let me just wrap up the thread on the previous one. I see something in the events chat. So gaming industry was recently highlighted by a lot of big celebrities and entrepreneurs. I'm just going to quickly read through the event chat. And that's something for kids before there has been a cultural shift to as big companies start their gaming branch. The rest of the companies see this as an opportunity to grow into new fields. Yeah, okay. So I think uh, in order to connect the story back to what I was mentioning, right? Like why venture capital is investing into this business now, right? Um, for that, you need to understand how does venture capital actually work, right? So I think Shubham hinted on it, right? When typically venture capitalists invest, they look at, can I make 100x of my investment on this bet, right? That's how typically venture capital industry works. If they're making an investment of say $1 million, right? They're not hoping for 5 million back or 10 million back. They're hoping for typically 100 million back, right? Because they'll be investing 1 million in 25, 30 companies, 50 companies, and their fund size could be like 40 to 50 million, and they're putting in 1 million checks in a bunch of these companies, right? In order to be profitable and return an investment to their investors, they're not putting their own money. They've also raised money from some other investors, some bigger investors, right? In order to return money to them, right? They have to return, and majority of the bets will fail, right? Same as how majority of the game projects always get crashed. 99% of the game projects get scratched and would never see the light of day in public. Same way here, if they're making 50 bets of $1 million each on 50 companies, 98 to 99% of them are going to fail. And when I say not that fail, I doesn't mean that companies will shut down. They will continue to run, but they might become profitable businesses, but they don't give an exit to the investor. Basically, an investor owns equity and they don't have an option to sell their shares because the company didn't do get listed on like Bombay Stock Exchange or Nasdaq, etc. Right? Or no bigger fish came in like Microsoft and acquired that company, right? So investors are hoping for only those two outcomes, and when that happens, they get 100x return on their initial investment, right? And that is essentially what they're 99% of the time hoping for, because that's how they return their investment to the companies or the funds that they have raised money from, right? So that's the actual game that a VC is playing. And for that to happen, companies need to be more than a one hit wonder, right? So how many know the studio that made Flappy Birds, right? Like this one solo dude in Vietnam made Flappy Bird, which overnight became a rocking sensation. That person never made another game again, which was as successful, right? Um, Same with the person who made Wordle recently, right? Most likely they'll never make another game that will be successful. No offense to those folks. What I'm saying is just pure statistics, right? Getting a overnight sensation or success in one product does not guarantee success long term for a business, right? And that's where the fundamental differences come in, where now gaming has been looked at as a business which can produce returnable, sustainable results over a long period, which makes it more than a business rather than a hit game. You're betting on a hit game. If this game goes flop, then it goes flop, right? So that's where I think a lot more VCs have been opening up to the possibility of investment in gaming companies because they see this turning as viable business with proper economics to take the business to sort of billion-dollar outcomes, right? So that was fundamentally what was missing before, where it was like, oh, I want to make an JRPG based in blah 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 theme and using XYZ Greek mythology or something, great. But that does not have any relevance to how will this become a successful business or possibility of how will this become a $1 billion business, right? If this doesn't work, then it's a failure, right? So since then, games have switched it over from, or at least game companies have switched it over from how to build a successful business versus how to build just one successful game. I don't know if that makes sense for majority of the folks. Um, Happy to answer any questions. Just raise your hand if anything was not clear, because that's a fundamental shift that if you're looking to get into the gaming industry, something that you should be aware of. A lot of people are don't oblivious to the facts that how the industry works, and as a result, a lot of times end up making bad career decisions because of this as well. Yeah, Piyush, saying something.
Nope, nope.
That I think that probably answered a lot of people's questions. That a broad question that they might have had regarding this.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
if anybody has anything more related to this, we can keep talking about it. If you have any specific question about what Mayank just said, just leave a comment or raise your hand so we can pull you into the chat and talk about it. But do we
Yeah.
Yeah,
wanna?
I think we can circle back to it if there are more
Yeah.
comments.
What do we move on to now? Which question do we take up now?
Uh,
We have Unreal 5 that we can talk about, which is pretty exciting.
uh,
Can
sir,
can we
we
get to the censorship question for a bit?
Uh, where did Mayank go?
Back,
Oh
sorry.
yeah.
Clicked on the wrong place.
uh, sir, actually we had like questions like backlog questions as well from the previous clan sessions, right?
Yeah.
From previous clan labs.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so if I would circle around there, then one question is how to find mentors, right? So apart from it, then we have like if a non-tech person say with dropout BTech degree, uh, how the job and the game scenario changes for him. Then next is how to optimize the value creation. Next is how to develop a problem solving aptitude, like how to approach a problem.
We have these written somewhere in the event chat. I think you have them written, right? Somewhere.
Yes, sir. If you go to the event chat, so the latest post, if you click on it, you will get to the previous one. So there is a link list like that of
Got it.
the sessions.
Yeah, maybe if you
Yeah.
can just drop one line at a time, let people just do a thumbs up on the ones that they're interested in, because I think
Sure, sir.
there are a lot
I'll
of different folks who have joined
quickly
in
do
today
that.
as well, right? So we can do this. So guys, just head over to the event chat. Shubham is gonna drop one question at a time. Just right click and do a thumbs up on whichever you feel you
Mm,
would like us to sort of pick up. That way we talk about the things that you guys are actually interested in as well. Um,
mm,
Yep, I'm just gonna do a thumbs up on every, so you just guys have it easy to go and press it out.
mm,
So just look at the questions, please, so that it helps us stay on track.
mm. Just a second, sir.
Honestly, I think you can also add your question in there as well, please.
Mm, yeah. So, sir, I have added all the questions now one by one. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And if guys, if anybody else also has any other questions, feel free to drop in literally anything. Like I don't know whether we've talked about this or not, but generally in Clan Labs, uh, we discuss everything and anything under the sun. If it's related to gaming, it's better. If it's related to career, etc., it's better. Usually, the only questions we keep off the table are girlfriend, boyfriend problem questions. Uh, Apart from that, we just can cover anything. So feel free to just drop in. Uh, how to build up comp skills.
We'll cover those someday when Mayank isn't online.
Yeah, yeah. When I'm on leave for some shit, then definitely it shows up in Clan Labs. I think I'm just too old for this shit.
Leaving no stones unturned.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, we'll just probably I'll just read out the questions as well so you guys can see how to find a mentor. Already has 5 votes. That's interesting. If a non-tech person with a dropout from a BTech degree, how can they find a job? Okay. How to optimize value creation, how to develop a problem solving aptitude. A person does not feel I'm good enough. Imposter syndrome. Ah, imposter syndrome, I feel like has okay. Imposter syndrome again is on top. Uh, is there a game for a person that never plays a game? Wait, Roop, I didn't understand the question. Is that for me directly or is that for the general audience? Is there a game for a person that never plays a game? Okay, got it. So somebody who's
Ye-
basically not a
ye-
gamer. So,
Yep, Roop.
are there any games for that person?
Start with Mario.
Start with Mario. I think for that you'll have to probably get a device, etc. as well, or an emulator or some shit. Or you mean like the latest, newer version of Mario?
Does Wordle count as a game?
Wordle, definitely, right?
I feel it should count.
It should, right?
That's like a game for a person who never plays a game.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
Gaming has become
Okay, good.
such a broad spectrum now that
Yeah,
there are a
that's
lot
why,
of
right?
games for people who never play games.
A lot of the times when I have like when I'm giving a conversation or a talk at some college or something, right? If I have a voting option, I'll ask like how many people here uh, have their parents play a game, right? And they would not consider themselves as gamer, right?
Yeah.
Majority of the hands would go up, right? Like even if you have parents who are about say 40 to 50 years old in that age range, right? On mobile they're doing something or the other that's related to gaming, right? Even very casual games, etc. as well, right? So but people don't think that they themselves are gamers, right? A lot of people are playing like Ludo and Tambola and Rummy and these classical card games that we used to play physically as a
Yeah.
carom as well, right? The digital version of carom, etc. Right? So it's interesting that people still don't think they're gamers, but they still play games as well. Uh, Abhishek has a question which is slightly longer. Let me just see. Okay, how's the voting looking like? A person does not feel okay.
Imposter syndrome is number
Imposter
one.
syndrome. Imposter syndrome is
If
number
we're
one.
all imposters, then nobody's an imposter, guys.
And yeah, I think everybody needs to go play that imposter game. What is that game?
Among Us.
Among Us, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Or at least make one. There's a YouTube
Yeah, yeah.
tutorial. There's a YouTube series about
Hashtag.
Among Us on Outscale's YouTube channel. So if anybody's interested, don't play the game, build the game. This imposter syndrome feeling will go away. Uh,
Hashtag product plug.
Hashtag product plug. It's a good playlist about how to build Among Us, how to develop problem solving aptitude. Okay. Okay. So any other questions below that has gotten a lot of votes? I got my mom to watch all all of the episodes of One Piece.
What was that? 900 and something?
Wait, what?
1,000 above.
I I
Seriously?
I think it has crossed 1,000 now.
Oh.
Yup, yup. So in the name of mother-son bonding, I made her watch like till 100. Then she was till 1,000. I'm still on 500. She watched all. I'm still lagging behind.
I think this is mother son bonding at a different level altogether.
Yeah.
but, but
Because
she has finished all the episode, but you're still on 500.
This has become Mother and One Piece bonding now. You're out of the picture.
Yeah, yeah. Watch out for addiction. It gets worse. Yeah, cool. So are we starting with imposter syndrome?
yep,
Okay,
totally.
good. Anybody else wants to start? I think I've talked about it 4 or 5 times now, but anybody else wants to start? Anybody else wants to just quickly define what an imposter syndrome is? Does anybody know what an
I
imposter
wonder
syndrome is?
if
Basically,
the
when
person
you
who
start
asked this is
comparing
here.
yourself with everyone and you start feeling like you don't know anything and you're an imposter here.
Hmm.
Uh, Majorly when you doubt your own capabilities, you be like कि मैं तो कुछ ही नहीं करता, कुछ ही नहीं आता मेरे को. That is the phase of life. You feel, you undermine everything about yourself and what you do. So that is, I think, imposter syndrome in some.
Yeah, exactly. What you feel like if you're doing something and if you did it, then you will like, नहीं ये गड़बड़ है, कुछ और है. मतलब it's like it could have been done better or something like that, I guess.
Got it. Okay. Anyone else? Ranjit is saying when you feel like all you know has been a lie. That sounds like Matrix. I don't know what that sounded like Matrix.
That
All,
does sound like
There
Matrix.
is no spoon.
There is
there is?
there is no
There's
spoon.
no spoon.
Yeah. I would rather say it's not imposter syndrome. Okay, how many of you have felt imposter syndrome now that we know what it is basically?
I have.
I always do.
Okay. For folks in the chat, just drop in a yes or something. If you have felt imposter syndrome. Yeah. So for folks on the stage, or if you like, I'm just gonna next question is more about just can you talk about when you felt it and why? Like just share if you want to share, just raise your hand, or if you're already on stage, just unmute. I just want to know what is that situation. You can mask away any personal information, personal details, but just want to understand what made you feel an imposter, right? What made you feel doubt your own internal capability?
Nobody wants to go.
Okay, let me start.
I can
Right?
start. I can start
Uh,
as well.
okay, good. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I by the way, for people who don't know, I just recently joined Outscale, and before this, I used to work as someone in the games industry as a reporter and a media person. I used to make content around games and about upcoming games and stuff. So there was there was a time when I was super young. I was like what 19 or something, and I was in this industry and I had been in this industry for like 2-3 years at that point full time, and I would see people around me and they were all like in their 20s, 30s, people who were working for like places like Gadgets 360 or like IGN or all the big places at that point of time. And I used to think that maybe I just lucked into it. Maybe because I wrote a review, I lucked into writing about games and getting access to games before they were out, as a reviewer, or getting invited to events to cover them. I thought I maybe just lucked into it and didn't really have a lot of talent or skills for it. But then I voiced this concern to some of my peers in the industry, some pretty well known people, and they sat me down and they said, "Ki listen," and they just showed me all the things that I had done, like news coverage that I broke, investigative pieces that I had done, all of that, and said, "Ki this is all you've done and you're just starting out. If we were this good when we were starting out, we would not be here today. We would be somewhere much higher." And that sort of helped instill confidence in and made me realize that looking at my own work from a third person's perspective and voicing these concerns to my own peers, people who technically you would consider competitors, because they were writing for other websites, they were the ones who sat me down and said, "Hey, you know you're good, keep doing it. Just sometimes pull yourself out of that first person perspective and just look at it objectively from an outsider's perspective and see what you've done and how much you've grown, so that you realize that you've made progress, and this is not it. Sometimes it can be, sometimes there are hints of luck in things, but a lot of it is hard work, and that's what they made me realize. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's very appropriate and helpful as well because not only you described what was that feeling, what made you felt it, the situation, etc., but you went one step ahead to even explain part of the solution to the problem as well, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you were in the right position where when you talked out to people, they were in a position to help you out there
Yeah.
as well to overcome that sentiment, right? Which some people might not have the luxury of, right?
Yeah.
So we can look at other ways of overcoming that as well. So okay, awesome. Anyone else wants to share? No, too shy or feeling imposter about sharing an imposter syndrome scenario. It's like a recursive thread.
How
Or
deep does
somebody,
it go?
how deep does it go? Oh, okay. I think I saw a bunch of folks sharing it in the chat. Shubham is saying when you open LinkedIn, you feel like an imposter. Okay, that seems like the popular sentiment. Not able to interact with anyone, failing to complete many projects. Okay. Um, Out of space, but any specific reason why, right? Like usually when we think about this kind of stuff, right? Like, okay, I'm not able to complete something. I'm not able to, you know, achieve a goal or a target, etc. Right? Um, Usually there is some other underlying reasons behind it, etc. So if there is more details that you could share, we can definitely dig into it, right? When it comes to game development and I don't know C of coding, that's okay. Um, like everybody starts at some point or the other, right? So RDX, I think it's more about putting in a conscious effort to say that okay, I'm going to commit time to start learning this, and then I think that's a pretty straightforward solution. People are around getting better jobs, better salaries. Definitely causes imposter. So Brave is saying can cause imposter syndrome of people around you doing things that feel successful, but using it as an inspiration if personally worked out for me. Okay, that's great, right? So if somebody around you is getting a better salary or a better job or a promotion, etc., right, that can probably make you feel imposter in a way that hey, I'm not the one who's receiving all these extra perks, etc. But then uh, why is the other person receiving it? Right? So you can either take it in the negative way to say, shit, I'm useless or worthless, but then you can turn it around to say, hey, no, I can also achieve this and let me strive hard to get there, right? So something like that. Um, but yeah, I think I'll just quickly share my perspective. I think Piyush got dropped. Uh, some internet issue maybe, I'm not sure. Um, but even today, right? Every day there is something or the other that makes me feel that I'm an imposter, right? I'll be like, what the fuck, right? Like you're already running a startup. You have been in the industry for so many years, etc., etc., right? How can you feel an imposter, right? So no matter what stage, trust me on this one, right? Like even Darren, when you explained your scenario that there were seniors to you who sat you down
Mm-hmm.
and showed you that see what all you have accomplished, right? Which you are currently overlooking, all of this would not have been possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those same folks at some point or the other in those weeks and months would themselves be feeling like an imposter,
Yeah.
right? It's just sort of human nature and human psychology where we always want to strive to evolve, right? Evolution is part of the DNA, right?
Yeah.
So do bigger things, do better things, etc., right? But at the same time, everybody's journey is also unique, right? Everybody's scenarios are unique, everybody's uh, family background, cultural upbringing, etc. All those are unique, and that's what shapes us to be unique in our own ways, right? So even today, when I was saying that I feel imposter, right? Like if there are 12 people in the team who are directly reporting to me now. I'm responsible for running the entire company, managing the entire community, and then there are folks who are handling different pieces, right? Every time somebody comes up to me and asks something, right? Um, I'm supposed to have an answer, right? That's what you expect from any boss, right? If you imagine a boss who says, yeah, shit, I don't know the answer to the question that you're asking, right? You'll feel like, what the fuck? How is this person my boss? He doesn't know the answer, right? So you have to be in a position if you're senior up, right? to have an answer for everything when you might not actually have an answer for it, right? And then when you give an answer, right, you feel like, oh shit, did I give the right answer? You always have that doubt, right? Because at that moment, somebody who's working with you is coming up to ask for your advice or guidance or direction or suggestion or whatever, right? What should I do next steps? Whatever you say, that's what they'll do, right? And that can be a bad call, right? So you always, every step of the way, start to doubt yourself that, hey, did I make the right call? If not, we might be screwed for 1 month because this person is going to be working on this thing for the next 1 month as a project, as part of the company, etc. Right? So irrespective of who it is, at what part of the journey they are in, right? No matter what they're doing, development, coding, analytics, running a startup, blah, 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 whatever, right? Everybody will feel like an imposter at some point or the other, right? It's more about how do you deal with it and do you have a mental framework to overcome that, right? That's what differentiate people from having imposter syndrome and getting stuck versus having imposter syndrome and quickly overcoming it because you have a mental framework to work around that challenge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kind of see that
Hmm.
perspective.
Yeah. So majority times it's about having 2, 3 different strategies that are available to you easily, right? And in this case, I think Darren already shared one, right? You go and talk to your peers, right? You seek out helpful feedback slash advice from them, right? Hey, Darren, how am I doing? Right? Darren and I work together, right? Hey, how am I doing? Can you tell me, like, we've worked together on this project for the last 2 months. Can you tell me one thing that did really well, one thing that I could improve on? And it's a 5 minute conversation, right? If you guys have been working together for 2 months on anything, then it'll be like, okay, man, yeah, this thing was bad. We discussed this and we decided that you'll do it, but then you didn't do it, right? I was expecting you to do it, but then I had to do it, for example, right? So this was bad. I would wish that next time onwards, this is something that you can improve, right? So now you have something very concrete to say, what did you do bad, right? But on the other side, he might also praise you to say that, okay, perfect, yeah, you're doing this awesome. I didn't expect that you'll be able to do this really fast. We were thinking that this will get done by next week, but you had it ready by next day. So that was awesome, right? So now suddenly you have a boost of self confidence as well because somebody else has validated it for you that, hey, you're not all sucky. You've done something right. And this can work in a work context. It can work with friends. It can work with siblings, family members, whoever you might have some kind of a relationship with, right? So your mom will not give you professional advice that you sucked on this piece of code, but she can give you other kinds of advice, right? Hey, you were being rude to your father the other day. I know you were angry about blah blah blah, but like you get my point, right? So you'll get contextual feedback, both positive and negative, but majority time what happens is that we don't even seek out feedback, right? So go and seek out feedback and you'll all automatically get both positives and negatives, right? And that's the shortest and the quickest way of overcoming imposter syndrome because you'll quickly understand key where am I lacking, is my imposter syndrome even valid, right? Or am I just overthinking this shit, right? So that's something super easy that almost everybody can do no matter what, right? Is there anybody here, right? Like just drop me a yes or a hands up or some shit in the chat if you think that asking for feedback could have helped you in the situation when you faced syndrome.
Sir, it worked charms for me. The voice note that you sent, loved it.
Yeah. Yep. So just try to imagine that situation, right? For all the folks that gave a thumbs up to the imposter syndrome question or anybody else as well, right? Like if somebody would have reached out and you would have gotten two positive things, two negative things as well, right? An equal balance, right? Would that still have helped you? Because even if it's just negative, right? what ends up happening is if somebody says not even positive things, they just tell you, "Yeah, Mayank, you're a piece of shit. You didn't do anything good. So fuck off," right? Like if somebody just does that alone, right? What ends up happening is that you might feel, ki, oh shit, what the hell, right? This guy just gave me negative feedback. And then your mind switches to, okay, how can I improve this, right? Your mind starts to focus on those things rather than demeaning yourself and saying, shit, yeah, I'm absolutely worthless and not any good, right? Because that is not giving you anything concrete to focus on, to focus and channelize your creativity and energy towards, right? So the moment you get that negative or constructive is always better. But
Yeah.
if even if you get some negative feedback, right? Now you know that, okay, now I need to focus my energy on improving this versus, obsessing over shit, yeah, I'm worthless, right? Whether it's for coding, whether it's for cooking, whether it's for being a good brother or sister, could be for anything. And this is very sort of a broad topic, so it applies to almost everything, right? So those kind of things can be very helpful. Uh, yeah, Vivekanand, you want to touch?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. Like I like the concept of getting feedback, taking feedback from people. I used to do that earlier. But what used to happen, right? Whenever I used to ask people, a set of people, you can say, the situation always arises like that. Either they are busy or they are just like, "हाँ ठीक है, this is your problem or whatever. You can manage it," and some kind of like that. So is that also a problem in a way?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, after that, I have just stopped asking people for feedback. I feel very bad. I don't know why.
So basically, a lot of, at least in Indian culture, feedback is just not something that's asked for and received, and not something that is taught as part of the education system and cultural upbringing to go seek out feedback, right? This is something I've preferred that the Western culture has done a better job at it. Inculcating this as part of your upbringing itself, go seek out feedback and be in a position to give helpful feedback for others as well, right? So if somebody is not giving you feedback, right, you can't do much about it. Your better chances of is going to somebody else and asking for feedback, right? But don't stop the act of asking for feedback, right? In some cases, you can demand feedback as well. For example, if you are in a work environment and you have a boss who you're reporting to, right? Uh, there you can demand feedback because it's part of your job to continue to improve. Nobody says that I'm going to hire you today. I want you to stay as it is. I don't want any of your skills to improve. No employer says that. No company says that, right? So it's
Yes.
part of a boss's job or a manager's job to give you feedback all the time, right? So you can go and demand feedback in those situations, right? And if you're not getting good quality feedback, raise your concern there, because then you have a legitimate reason. Ki, boss, this is not good feedback. I'm not able to figure out how do I improve. Tell me concretely, what do you want me to improve if you're telling me I'm not good, right? Otherwise, just bounce. That company is bad, shit bad, or that person, the manager is bad, right? One of the cases. So, from that perspective, I think generally you can be in a position to demand feedback as well. But don't be shy about it, right? You go back to one person, they don't give you good feedback, go back again. Maybe you can even help them think through on why they're not able to give feedback. And it still doesn't work, then let them be. They're not going to be very helpful, right? Just because it's not in their nature or something. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I understood. Thanks.
But just make it a habit that don't undermine yourself because you're asking feedback. It's your job to ask feedback. And in a
Yeah.
professional context, it's the other person's job to give you quality feedback.
Mm.
Yeah, just
Okay.
understand. I would say just understand that getting feedback is one of the biggest ways that you can improve yourself. One is
Yeah.
like viewing your own skills and seeing what you can do better, and the other is outside perspective telling you how you can improve yourself. So that
Yep.
is
Mm.
something that you should keep doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll start doing that actually. I'll try to do that for sure.
Yep. Absolutely.
You
Um, there's been too much chat in the event chat, so I've gone through it, everything. Maybe Shubham, if you can just point out if there is anything interesting that I might have missed that we want to bring up as a conversation or something. Yeah.
sure, sir. So Roop said actually कि Indians usually don't understand mental health problems, like all over mental health. So that was interesting. Someone said, singing like kind of can help to get away from that maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that like we discussed only one feedback well approach, but this is actually a good thing that you brought it up. The second approach is just focusing on something that you really, really enjoy and are good at it. Right? Imagine you're very good at chess and you really enjoy doing it. This is usually a correlation. If you enjoy doing something, you naturally become good at it, whether it's from playing PUBG or playing chess or cooking or something, right? Because at the end of the day, humans do need that mental ego boost as well, right? Not saying everybody is egotistical or something, but you do need self satisfaction to say, yeah, okay, whatever I'm doing, this is great, right? If you cook or like fantastic food, just make a meal. Other people will eat it and give you compliments, right? And that'll give you an internal motivation slash ego boost as well. So it might be in an unrelated thing to where you are feeling an imposter, but overall, when it lifts up your mental space, right? That is a positive, uplifting thing, right? And it impacts the entire thing. If you're feeling an imposter in one domain, it's not that suddenly you switch to a different work and you don't feel an imposter. It'll make you entire day feel like you're an imposter, no matter what you do, right? And the positive of it
It's
is
so
also,
true.
yeah, and the positive is also true, right? Once you feel confident in one, suddenly you try to do another thing, you'll feel confidence that you can do it, right? So use that as a way to say, okay, I'm great at this. Let me go mentally switch my bandwidth to doing the thing that I know I'm
Um,
great at, right? And that way it will give me a slight bit of a mental ego boost.
hmm. uh, Good.
Yep. Anything anyone wants to add?
Yes, sir. Maybe going ahead, looking at the rock bottom, like what is the worst that can happen? When you look at that, then you'll be like, ah, ठीक है, सही तो चल रहा है, right? You will, it's okay, right? So that is one thing. Other than that, going ahead and maybe starting with something that you're gonna ace at. Like if that task is like for 15-20 minutes or half an hour, then go to other tasks. That energy flows into everything, so that usually avoids the imposter syndrome altogether.
Yep, yep, for sure, for sure. Cool. I think Roop saying neighborhood uncles don't understand mental health problems. That's true. I think especially with COVID, this is a very uh, topic that has taken center stage as part of conversation today. Mental health and well-being, which I think as a society we have always neglected. We just don't think it's a problem ever, mental health and mental well-being. But yeah, now I think that personas or that mental approach is changing because of COVID. Mm. Okay, okay. I think are we good to move on from this topic, or do you
I
want to
think
still
we've
continue on
we've
this?
deliberated on this for quite a while.
Yeah,
I feel
got it.
I feel
Okay,
everyone
Darren.
who had anything to say probably has said it.
Yeah, Darren, you want to pick up the next question?
Well, we have a lot of questions. The most liked one, the most reacted one was how to find mentors
How
after the
to find?
imposter one.
Hmm.
So, do you want to jump into that, or is that something we've already answered a lot, or we have
I
somewhere
don't think we
written
have
down?
answered this one.
It's also
Okay.
8 o'clock. I just want to bring up the time. It's 8 o'clock. So, uh, if there's a wrap up time, I'm not sure when it is, but yeah,
Yeah, usually we wrap up around eight between 8:15 and 8:30, so
all
we
right.
have a little bit
So, we
time.
have time, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we can see. Okay, cool. I think let's take one more. Uh, Mentor one.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
how do people find mentors to help them out?
How many of here have a mentor?
Me, sir.
I want to give a quick answer here. Join Outscale. That's my quick answer.
Shameless plug.
Yeah,
Hashtag.
shameless plug.
Okay. How many of you have a mentor? Just yes or no in the event chat me, or just say it out if you want to share it. If anybody wants to share anything about their mentor, whoever their mentor has been, if they're if you have a mentor who has been very helpful to you, etc., just raise your hand. Openly talking about your mentor also can be a good
Uh,
thing.
Sir, you have been my mentor altogether since 2019, and
Yeah,
it's
so you shut up, okay? Because I think people have listened enough to you and me, so I want to give other chance to other
sure,
people
sir.
as well. But yeah, go ahead. Anyone else wants to come up and talk about their mentor? A lot of people don't even understand what a mentor really is. So that is also a thing. Tanya saying yes, Abhishek saying no, Bobby saying we have you. I think Bobby, for you guys, definitely, I think Shubham is the closest mentor because he interacts with you guys quite more than I get a chance to. For like earlier batches, when Manas was there, when Shubham was there in like batch two, batch three, etc. Right? I was very actively hands-on involved every day in live sessions, etc. Uh, so yeah, uh, book recommendation. Oh, interesting. Book recommendation. Yeah. I don't really have a mentor, but my managers have given me a lot of guidance. Okay, that's cool. But why do you say that then? If your mentors have, or if your managers have given a lot of guidance, you don't think that they are your mentors? Anvesh, maybe if you want to raise your hand, we can bring you up on stage or something. Chat about it if you have a mic. Because to me, that seems like a perfect role of a mentor, right? Somebody who gives you guidance at the right time and the right place. A lot of folks saying no. I used to have interesting. Not sure what happened. What's the right way to learn coding? That's a different question altogether. What is a mentor though? Who is a mentor? A lot of people are saying no. I don't think a lot of people will realize who can be a mentor. Anyone wants to take a stab? A lot of what we do at Outscale, like even Darren was plugging in, uh, is that this mentorship is at the core of how we do a lot of learning within Outscale and for game dev, etc. as well, right? So we place a lot of emphasis on mentorship. But what do you guys think of who is a mentor? What is a mentor actually? Anyone? I don't see any hand raised. Shubham, Darren, do you guys want to jump in?
Yeah, I would say a mentor is anyone who's guiding you down the right path, who has more experience than you in whatever you're, seeking help in, and they guide you appropriately down the path. It could be just conversations to ease your mind and to, give you that little boost that you need to actively hands-on, telling you exactly how to get to where you want to go, like a destination, not a like physical destination, but a professional one, or your hobby. Like, even your hobbies can have mentors where someone is mentoring you on how to build, custom keyboards or something like that. So yeah, anybody who's guiding you and who's helping you out to improve on something, I guess, is a mentor.
Yeah, yeah,
And they don't have to specifically just have the role of a mentor, right? Your manager can be your mentor, your teacher can be your mentor.
yeah.
So
Your elder brother could be a mentor.
yeah.
Yep. But your elder brother can also not be a mentor if they're not very helpful. So,
The elder brother
so not,
wears a lot of roles.
yeah. Okay. Is a manager always a mentor?
No, not necessarily. I feel sometimes managers can be not very good, in my
Not very
experience,
good at what?
at just interacting with you, or knowing what you need, or just managing people.
Okay.
So in that case, they can just not really guide people appropriately, and
Mm.
which can lead to people feeling frustrated, and that's when a lot of people feel that this job is not going anywhere, or that they're not heard, or they're not valued at
Mm.
at a place.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of interesting comments. But yeah, somebody else wants to say something. Somebody mentioned my wife is a mentor for some areas as well. That's great. Uh, Shubham and Malar are like big brothers as well, apart from a mentor, because sometimes they also shout on us. Yeah, that's true. Uh, yeah, so I think mentor's job is not just to tell all the good stuff, but also highlight sometimes the bad stuff, right? But at the end of the day, they have sort of your best interest at heart, right? Some YouTubers work as mentors as well. Um, not sure if you mean like they provide like specific mentorship guidance on a one-on-one basis, or do you mean like from the content itself, they're answering questions, etc., or something like that? I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, that's a good point though. Mentor can also be one who wishes to become like what who you wish to become like one. Maybe, but if they're not helpful about it, then it's not going to be very much helpful for you, right? So you can think of that, hey, I want to become like Sachin Tendulkar, but he's just not going to have enough time to mentor you, right? So you can have that as a role model, but then that person will not be able to guide you and coach you in some sense, right? Provide you that personal attention. Most of the time, mentorship kind of comes down to that this person is able to give you what you need at the right time, right? Sometimes you need tough love, sometimes you need a hard conversation, sometimes you need an eye opener, sometimes you need positive encouragement, etc., right? So that's where a role of a mentor is very personal, right? Um, and you can strive to be somebody, or like mimic somebody and say, okay, I want to become like this person. But if that person is not really giving you that time and energy that you need, and they're not reachable and approachable, right? Maybe they're a celebrity or whatnot, right? Then I would not call them a mentor per se. They'll be more like a role model, somebody you idolize, right? Somebody who you wish to be like, right? Hopefully that thought process is clear. Uh, but broadly, I think you guys were on the right thread that mentor is somebody, the way I think about it is, who just gives you what you need, right? Versus what you want. You might say, I want positive encouragement because I'm feeling low emotionally, mentally, or imposter syndrome, etc., right? But then they might realize that at this stage, you don't need positive encouragement. You need tough love, right? Like, hey, yes, you fucked up, right? No, Darren, I think you fucked up really bad. So unfortunately, today I'm not gonna give you positive encouragement that you're great and you're doing well. You fucked up, and that's the reality of it. Deal with it now, right? But then they'll plug it with the say that okay, here's how you should deal with it, right? They'll provide you that right guidance and approach to say, okay, you fucked up. That's okay, right? It happens. We have to recognize the fact that we fucked up, not sugarcoat it or hide it, but realize that we fucked up and then move on from it, right? And figure out how do we move on and next time not fuck up, right? So from that perspective, right, a mentor is not just somebody who sugarcoats positive shit, but also gives you a lot of constructive inputs and understands what you need at that time more than anything, right? So that's ideally how I think about a mentor. Now that mentor can be a say like somebody senior to you who does programming really well and you need to know, or you're learning programming, that is a mentor for a specific role, right? You can have a mentor for sports. You're getting better at some sports. Somebody is already great at that, and you know that person, and they're open to helping you out uh, through mentorship, right? Giving you time and energy, right? So mentors can be applied in different contexts, but usually it's where some kind of learning is involved, right? Where you have a dilemma and you don't know who to uh, talk to. So if in your mind you have a question around a topic or a subject, and you reach out to a specific person every time you have that kind of a topic in your mind, that person unknowingly is a mentor, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, for example, even my today's context, right? I'm trying to build a company, right? There are a lot of people who I know who are also founders and had built companies before, have built communities before, and so on and so forth, right? And there are probably 5, 10 steps ahead of me in their journeys, right? So every time, let's say I have a company building question that, hey, here's a problem with the team, we're not able to do this as a team, etc., etc. What am I doing wrong, right? I need to discuss 30 minutes, bounce off some ideas, share my thought process. This is what we had planned. This is how we screwed up, so on and so forth, right? So now that person could be a friend, could be a coworker in a previous company, could be my boss from the previous company, somebody I met in a co-working space, blah blah blah. Doesn't matter, right? But that person, unknowingly, whether you associate a title to it or not, is a mentor because that mentor is helping me think through a problem that I'm having, so more or less around a specific topic, right? So that's usually how you think of a mentor and a role of a mentor. I hope that makes sense. Mm, I don't think role models are a good idea. Okay, that's a different thread altogether, whether role models are good or bad. But uh, okay, there's a big answer to it. Let me just quickly first read. Anything else anyone wants to add? I'll quickly scan through the chat meanwhile.
I'm just happy to see so much conversations happening in the chat itself among people. Different
Yeah,
viewpoints being put across and why as well, which is
correct.
which is why we kind of do these
Yeah.
sessions.
But I think generally from a mentor perspective, no, I think what I've seen successful people do is have at least 5 to 7 different mentors as a pool of mentors, right? Because not one mentor is going to help you think through every problem that you're going to face, right? If it's a career related advice, you could have 1 or 2 people that you go to, right? If it's a relationship related advice, you go to somebody else, right? If it's a professional advice, such as, dealing with a coworker kind of a situation, you might have a different mentor in the company, right? So generally a good sort of advice that I give to folks is that have at least 5 to 7, 10, something in that range, low single digit numbers, right? Sorry, high single digit numbers, um, as a pool of mentors, which are just helpful folks that you can reach out to and be rest assured that they will give you time and energy to help you think through whatever problem and challenge that you might be facing, right? So if you don't have a mentor, right, you should always be on the lookout uh, to get folks into your network who can be your mentor. But what does not work here is that today, if somebody, let's say somebody sees my profile on LinkedIn and says, oh, this person is very well connected in the gaming ecosystem. I am building a new game. Let me reach out to this person cold. Cold means like I don't know this person, they don't know me, we have never really chatted, etc. And they ping me that, hey, my, yeah, look, your career and track record looks great. I'm doing this, and I'm looking for mentorship. Can you guide me? That's the most common question that I get on LinkedIn, right? Probably like 50 times a week or more, right? No, I can't guide you. I don't have 50 hours a week or 50 hours a month to give to a random person when I don't know you. It's a very personal thing, right? But Shubham and I go back 2, 3 years now, right? The other day, like literally 2, 3 days back, he pinged me asking for something personal as a founder. He's also running his own venture. And I said, okay, sure, just give me some time. I'll revert back to your question and give you some um, advice around it, right? It took me 2, 3 days to respond back just because I was busy, but then eventually I did, right? So because we have worked together full time together, we have he's been part of Outscale, he's still a part of Outscale. Um, there is a personal connection there, right? And that's where I wish to see him succeed, right? Till that time you have that personal connection, a mentor will not be able to help you, right? They'll be able to give you very surface level advice, right? So those are the kind of things that you need to look out for. That you start. You can. That doesn't mean that you just need to have mentors who are just people that you know, right? You can start to expand your network, but don't jump in with the perspective that, hey, I don't know you. I'm reaching out to you because I want you to become my mentor. That doesn't work, right? It sometimes takes years to cultivate a relationship where then you can think of them as a mentor. It's a very personal thing, right? Because the most important thing to any person is their time, or at least the most important thing to any person should be their time. And they are very protective of their time, right? So if somebody comes and asks me that, can I have 30 minutes of chat with you because I want to talk about games? Like, no, sorry, I don't know you, right? Why would I give you 30 minutes of my time, right? So, but if Shivam pings me at 11 o'clock in the night, because there is that personal relationship, I'll probably reply to him at 11:05 or something, right? So that's what a mentor is supposed to be, and what you should always strive to seek out, because that mentor can also help you overcome imposter syndrome 100% of the time, right? They're helpful, they know about you, they know about your personal journey, they know how to talk to you, they know how to give you encouragement, give you tough love, give you the hard reality of things, etc. Right? So all those things become pivotal and important when it comes to uh, being sort of a mentor. Yeah. Okay, I think that's majority of what I wanted to add on the mentorship stuff. Does anybody have anything else to add?
Yeah, any experiences anyone wants to share of a mentor who really helped you out, or
Was that for me or just anybody?
anybody, or like you or anybody acting as a mentor themselves for someone
Yeah,
in their
if you've
life?
been a mentor, has anybody here been a mentor to anybody else? We didn't ask that. Or anybody wants to share about their mentor, and don't care about name specifics, but like who the person is, what kind of mentorship are they giving you, and so on and so forth. There was a lot of information in the chat before. I think there might be some answers there.
Yeah, I see people typing. So
Guys, this is really personal, right? Today, actually, I was going ahead and teaching two people. So these are students, right? Not much wealthy, right? So these so I could see the difference I was making to them, right? So having a mentor, it had a very very big impact on my life, right? So so man knows my story, right? I was in Chandigarh, right? Things happened, right? So I can see a very big impact of having a mentor. So I would tell you to try to have mentors. They can transform your life, right? I've seen life transforming. So I'm sorry, sir. I just
And all good, all good. Yeah. Yeah. So I think once you have somebody who is genuinely a mentor to you without having that title, that can have a very strong transformative effect, because they're just so sort of impactful, right? Especially if they've gone through that phase that you might have been going through, right? Uh, and most of the time, the age, we think of classically age as the thing, but age is definitely not the thing. You can have a mentor who is actually junior to you as well, but they might be kick-ass at something, or 10 steps ahead of you in your journey at something as well, right? Like even in my example, a lot of people that I reach out for mentorship and guidance, who are founders, etc., right? They might be onto their second venture and I'm still onto my first, right? Those kind of folks are half of the time younger than me, right? So when it comes to sort of mentorship, guidance, learning, right? Never let like age be a barrier, because that's a very classical mistake that we end up doing. We think of like, oh, this person is older than me, then great. But that's usually not the case. Right? Like once you overcome that barrier that you can learn from a person junior to you, suddenly a whole different world of opportunities open up. I was very good at math, and my math teacher helps me to get the best marks by motivating me to study. Yeah. Uh, Awesome. Anyone else wants to share about their mentorship experience, or if you've been a mentor to anybody as well? If not, try to be. It's usually very rewarding
Yeah.
overall as an experience.
I say if you're ever in a situation where you can be a mentor, uh, try it out, do it, because like Shubham said, you can actually like see the change you're making in someone's life, and it's a very selfless thing to do, to help someone out in that way, and it's a very personal thing to do. So yeah, just try to do that, because you don't know the effect you might have. It's like a chain reaction. Essentially, you help one person, that person might go and do that to someone else, and then they might help someone else, and they might help someone else. And this world, I feel, always needs more kindness and goodness in it, and being a mentor, if you're able to do it, is one of those ways.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Cool. Awesome. There's a lot of people typing. uh, no, not sure what exactly it is, but I'm guessing it's from the mentorship thread. But yeah, if somebody wants to come up to the stage as well, just quickly raise. Folks are shy. Don't worry, right? Nobody bites. It's just a voice channel. Yeah. I do something similar, mentor new guys in the accounts office. You might not know if they are the only one helping them out. Yeah. I was a mentor in my life. I, I want a mentor in my life. Uh, Gone downhill due to health problems, and I want to start a new journey. Yeah. Uh, Sometimes you don't need somebody even senior, right? Like having a bunch of co-workers, peers who are going through that journey with you as well, right? Like that can be also very helpful, right? Like there's a reason why we don't like, why do we do these like small cohorts, right? Um, as part of like full stack and launchpad, etc. Right? Because there have been people who met for the first time in these cohorts, and the cohorts were over like 2 years ago, and they still have strong relationships with each other, right? They still talk to each other, share about what's happening in their offices, and sometimes even actually a lot of times end up becoming co-workers because they end up joining the same companies, right? So there are a lot of such examples, where you can actually have a mentor, uh, who's at the same stage, at the same step of the journey. So if you have 3 4 people going through the game dev journey, um, together, a lot of people that do come to the outscale community are the ones who are looking to transition from another stream into game dev because they're probably tired of whatever the hell they are doing, right? And it felt boring, etc. to them, and they want to try this out because this is what their passion is, right? So you don't need somebody 20 years ahead of you. You can actually have a peer network as well as a mentor group, where 3 4 of you are huddled together going through that journey together, right? And now if one person is feeling demotivated or has is facing some kind of issues, right? You have a peer network to quickly jump into, and they'll cheer you up, right? So it's kind of like a support group that helps you pull yourself up, if you're feeling sort of down, right? And if you're, because now they're going through the same journey, they'll pull you along as well, right? And you do that for them. When they are down, they pull you along, right? uh, I would love to come up to audio, but it will wake everybody in my home. Got it. uh, okay, cool. Yeah, I think both the topics are actually very deeply interrelated, the mentorship piece as well as the imposter syndrome, because one is the solution to the other. But yeah, if anybody here after this conversation goes on, finds a mentor, um, or realizes that I had this person in my life who was a mentor, but I just didn't know it. Uh, you know, uh, do share in the event chat now or later, and just try to articulate what role does that mentor play in your life, because then you'll be very conscious of it. You'll immediately think of that person when you're facing that kind of a problem, and it will reduce your downtime under imposter syndrome. And that's very helpful, pretty much every day. Yep. Okay, there's something huge in the events chat. Bobby has shared. Darren, just take over. I'll just quickly go through
Yeah,
and read it out.
yeah. So, yeah, like you said, both those topics we talked about today are kind of interrelated because mentors can help you with imposter syndrome. Having a mentor can help you help someone who has syndrome, and they both are things that help with the most important thing, which is your mental health, especially in a professional sphere where it can be hard to really gauge yourself or find that help that you need. So yeah, having a mentor in that space really 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 helps. And I'm sort of kind of taken aback that we talked about such deep topics, such heavy I would say heavy, but this does feel like topics that end up bringing up personal things for people and
Yeah, yeah,
discussing personal things, and which is also good in a way because we are a community here and we are here to help each other grow, improve, and be better. So I'm glad that this
yeah.
openness is there and people are willing to listen, to engage and listen in this.
Yeah, you'll be surprised how many times in Clan Labs we end up going deep into such either like topics around finances and financial health, um, mentorship, feedback, career related advice, problems people might be facing in their professional life with their managers, etc. Right? We do end up going a lot deep into these topics. This conversation just naturally kind of take that fold.
And I think I
Uh,
know there's like a this is a very eye-opening thing because it just shines a light on our education system, which is missing all of this,
yeah,
because
absolutely.
nobody has an avenue to talk about this or learn about this unless like they're coming to outscale or maybe talking to a therapist or some sort of a group, right? So it's just eye opening to see that such important things that are vital to live in this day and age, to survive in this day and age, are just glossed upon.
Yeah, yeah. I think even what Bobby has written in the chat, right? How I was saying regarding the peer network, right? It's a classic
Yeah.
example, right? Like Bobby is currently going through Clan 18 and he has a batchmate, Aditya, who's also going through Clan 18, right? But then Aditya had some prior coding experience, whereas Bobby was if I'm not mistaken, Bobby was completely new to it, right? And now, even though they are batchmates, they're going through the same program at the same time. They're able to sort of, or at least in this case, Aditya is able to motivate Bobby, and Bobby can think of Aditya, even though they're same batchmates, roughly the same age, and so on and so forth, as a uh, as a mentor in some sense, right? So, like I was explaining regarding the age, right? Like a lot of these things are actually flipped upside down because they're like Darren, you were saying, right? Like they're never really talked about at all. Forget about teaching these things, right?
Yeah.
I heavily encourage all our learners and community members to go and find a mentor for themselves, right? It's not going to be easy or straightforward. There's no magic formula that you do this or put out a LinkedIn post and send a message to 10 WhatsApp groups, etc., and you'll find one. It's not that straightforward. But once you are very consciously thinking about it, right? Okay, I'm facing XYZ kind of challenges again and again, and I need a mentor in this regard, right? In this thread or in this topic, right? Um, that itself is half of the problem solved because you've started acknowledging where you're facing a bottleneck and what you need to do in order to solve for that, right?
Hmm.
So that's half of the problem solved, and then you start sort of digging around as to, is there somebody in your personal network who knows you well, who has an interest in helping you see you succeed, right? Those are your go-to people, and if not, start talking to a lot of people like this one. Over time, uh, the ones who are the right mentors for you, they'll naturally emerge because without even you asking for help, they will show interest in helping you, right? Those are some of the signs that you kind of look out for to see who are the right folks that
Yeah.
that are good fit for a mentor, right? Like without any motive of finances or anything in return, they're just coming up to you to see you succeed and help you think through problems and so on and so forth, right? Those things don't happen in a monetary way, or those things don't happen in a what do you call this? In if they have any kind of other motives behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
More than just being helpful, right? That's usually the case. Yep, awesome. Deep shit. I don't know if people get bored with these kind of topics, but somehow we always end up talking about this stuff. So, like, there were a bunch of questions. Some were like slightly lighter on this
Yeah.
spectrum of deep topics, but these are the ones that got voted. Just give me a yes or a no or something. If overall you guys, for folks who are still around, if you enjoyed the conversation or not, or do you think if this kind of deep
Yeah.
topic, you know, was not very helpful and bored you to death, then that feedback will be helpful.
This is my first clan lab, so I came into it like, oh, we're gonna talk about game
Games.
industry. We're gonna talk about Unreal Engine 5. I was like, ooh, Unreal Engine 5 is so exciting.
Yeah. No, a lot of times it happens that there are a bunch of questions regarding those more technical things.
Yeah.
But majority of the time, whenever I put it to a vote, like people end up choosing these hard topics. Uh, and those more straightforward technical topics are usually kept on the side for some reason. There have been places where we have discussed those things as well, but
Yeah.
usually somehow community always votes talking about these things that probably because they just don't get it other places
Yeah.
or something like that. Maybe, right? Like you said, right? Like these things are just not talked about. Hmm. It's the first time I've joined. Okay, let's talk about gaming industry too. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about your uh, question. I think we didn't get a chance to cover your questions honestly, um, regarding the IP thing or the
The
infringement thing, right?
censorship thing.
Censorship. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. One word answer is doable. Like it's technology. You can do whatever the fuck you want. The problem is that sometime or the other the law catches up, and you can
No.
get shut down or shit like that. But yeah, definitely. I think Shubham, we can mark that question for next time and bring that up as well. Uh, but yeah, awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions as well? Just feel free to drop them in the events chat. Anything that we didn't get a chance to talk about today, will definitely, yeah, like we have this running thread that Shubham has been voluntarily managing,
Yeah.
where we can go back and see other questions from the past and then sort of, uh, you know, pick them up if there are no new questions as well. So that's also something we can talk about. So just drop in your questions, and then we'll pick them up next time. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks guys for sticking around. I think we'll start the game streaming session in half an hour.
We will.
So
Yes.
Malhar will be playing a game. Wait, is the streaming session not here? I don't see it in the events.
It is in events. It is. Where did it go? It was here.
There, right? I just okay. Maybe something happened with Malhar's availability or something. I'm not sure. We'll have to check.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just drop a quick announcement in the events channel. I think the session should be up and running. Probably it's a mistake or something. But yeah, it went away, right? So yeah, do you guys have sharing sessions like these for women in games? Not specifically SAP, but I know the folks who are running the women in games community. My wife is actually a part of the women in games community as well. Um, yeah, just suggest if there's something we can do collaboratively. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of events coming up, um, in the weeks that are coming, and if you would like to see something like that, we would be glad to bring it up. And this Saturday, which is tomorrow, we have an event with Soumya Iyer, who talks about being a game producer, who currently works at Zynga as a game producer. So she will be here tomorrow with Mayank, uh, at the event, talking about being a game producer, and we'll probably talk about a lot of things. So hopefully that helps give you some more insight, and
Yeah.
it's probably a start into
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Awesome. So I think we are overshooting on the time as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's definitely wrap up so that we don't eat up too much of folks' time. Guys, grab some dinner or something. If the event is still on, I think Darren just check in with Malhar and the rest of the
Yes,
team.
we will drop an
And
announcement as to what's happening.
yep. If the event has been accidentally deleted or something, then we'll just get it up.
Yeah.
Perfect, guys. Awesome. Thanks for staying and love the participation in the chat today. Keep keep that going. But next time, let's do more voice because I love to talk to people as well. rather
Yes,
than just
talking to people is
reading chat.
always fun. It's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
quicker as well to talk to people, and get more
absolutely. Yep.
voices in.
So definitely, let's have more voice people participating in voice as well.
So yeah,
Awesome,
next
guys.
time, make sure
Thanks.
that you're done with your food. Make sure your family is awake. Make sure your mics are ready to go for next week's Clan
Yeah,
Labs.
yeah. Awesome. Right. Take care, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone. Have a good night. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your weekends, and we'll see you hopefully in the next event. Bye bye.